get more for his money.
Oh, okay.
But his house is small.
Yeah.
Are we ready to go?
Okay, the mics are on and we're ready.
They're on, so I need to watch what I say.
Right.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. What do I say next?
Well, we need to swear in our new
Need to
member,
swear in
Tim
our new
Callahan.
member,
so
Tim
you can
Callahan, so-
Ask him to repeat after you on
Tim,
that oath.
if you can repeat after me, and I get to read it, so pay attention.
Okay, I'll try.
Where do I start? I, Timothy Callahan,
I, Timothy Callahan,
having been appointed
having been appointed
to the Office of Architectural Board of Review
to the Office of Architectural Board of Review
in the village of Lake Bluff,
in the village of Lake Bluff,
in the county of Lake,
in the county of Lake,
aforesaid, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
what was that again?
Okay. Aforesaid, don't miss that one.
Oh.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
Okay. Aforesaid, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Office
and I
of
will
Architectural Board of Review.
faithfully discharge the office and the duties
Close.
of the Board of Review
According to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Okay, we're done. All right. Thank you.
There'll be
No.
a test on the Constitution. so-
Yeah, right. Somebody's got to follow it, so, all right. So the consideration of the June 5th meeting.
Oh, we should take roll first.
Okay, so it is on here, yeah.
Yep,
All right.
okay. Member Russ?
Here.
Member Kerouac?
Here.
Member Dahlman?
Here.
Member Callahan?
Here.
And Chair Hunter?
Here.
And members Deegan and Waymire are absent.
Okay. Actually, for those of you who did television land, both of you, I forgot to say, this is the regular meeting of the Architectural Board of Review for the month of July. Okay. So next is the consideration of the minutes for June 5th. I was not here.
Admirably brief, looks good to me. Move to approve?
Second?
Second.
Okay, no further discussion, comments? If so, all approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
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 All right. The next item is we have a non-agenda items. If there's any visitors in the audience that would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda, this is your time to do so. And not seeing a rush to the microphone, I'll assume that's not going to happen. So the first item of business is consideration of signed permit application for Art Impact Project at 104 East Scranton Avenue. This is very self-explanatory. Is there anybody here to represent that? Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
Any comments? Carol?
Oh, just my usual quandary over multi-tenant buildings. It appears we have residents there mostly, and maybe 2 businesses on the street frontage?
Yeah, there's a third business there. There's a dentist office too, and I think that's been that way for a lot of decades, maybe since the building was originally built, because some of those units are built with, kitchens and full bathrooms, whereas the businesses just have, a restroom, no shower, no kitchen, that type of thing. So I think they've always had a mix there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I have my usual quandary about how many signs we would have, but it does seem to be residences, which is pretty helpful. Boy, we have different amplification in here tonight, don't we?
We do, yeah, the new system, the new AV system includes.
Yeah, my
My-
ears are ringing. We
Yeah.
can't whisper anymore and hide, can we? So far, so good. It actually has 2 public right-of-ways, and, they have 2 wall signs now if we approve this one, because there's already one up, so looks pretty straightforward in that sense. This would be the second wall sign, so it's our usual quandary. We talked last time about communicating with landlords that, you don't get a sign for you know, a wall sign and a ground sign for every tenant, so that would be very important in this teeny tiny little building that has, you know,
I,
half a dozen party walls.
I think the only businesses that really require signage are the two on the end. Am I right? The one in
I
buried
guess
in there
there's
somewhere?
a dental office in there too that, they have some type of signage that may just be on the door there in the middle
Yeah, I
of
don't
the
remember
courtyard.
seeing any signs, so,
Yeah, okay.
anyway.
So it looks fine to me, but I think this is a discussion we'll be having later too, and the same point will come up, so I thought I'd dive right in.
Right, good point.
Matt?
I don't know if anybody's here to answer this question. I just don't know how this is gonna be attached to the wall. Like, is it anchor bolts? There's no, like,
That's true. They had a brief description on the back, but I think you're
But
right,
it-
it didn't mention the
yeah, I can imagine 4 anchor bolt
bolts.
heads.
I would imagine that
on-
too.
On top of this.
Mounted professionally, whatever that means. right?
Yeah. So that's my only, that would be my question, is, because it's not showing exactly how it's gonna be mounted.
Okay.
I agree with the questions so far, and I like the green color. It kind of stands out as a pleasant contrast with the rest of a relatively nondescript building. So if it fits all the other requirements of the code, I would be in favor of this one.
Apparently it does. Tim?
Yeah, I have no objection with it. It looks good. I guess the only question would be how it's anchored to the wall. From the picture, it looks like, you know, it's just applied with something that you can't see.
Stuck on.
Yeah, adhesive.
Stuck on would be fine. Double-faced tape.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? I think Carol brings up a point, but we need to cross that bridge when we come to it, and the only other option then would be to do some sort of a monument sign, which is probably never gonna happen there.
Yes, but this would be a time when either we would be, per our last conversation here, communicating with the landlord about the fact that when we approve their one, or in this case, 2 wall signs, you know, the next tenant is SOL. You know, this is the problem we always have. You witnessed a meeting, I think, where a tenant came in and said, but, you know, it's in my lease, so, you know, it's a contract and you have to do it, which is not really where we want to be. And so I don't object to this sign specifically at all. I just would like to have an explanation of what's going on at the very least before we make a decision. I don't think that's going to happen tonight, but I think that's where we should be.
Anybody agree or disagree?
Well, what I said was I like the sign, so maybe we should start with the easy part. I said the easy part is I like the sign. The other stuff is kind of extraneous right now.
Well, okay, what do you wanna do?
It's fine with me.
This is a new owner from a couple of years.
Right, well, yeah, that's right, yeah, right. Yeah, the people who remodeled it a couple of years ago still
Yeah.
own it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, maybe it'd be worth a conversation with them,
Right.
if they're around. Are they?
Yeah, I can contact them,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, yeah, bring both of those points up. Okay, so, anyone have a motion on this?
I move to approve as submitted. Are we recommending or approving?
Approving.
Okay.
It's eligible for final approval since it meets code.
Okay.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call?
Member Russ?
Aye.
Member Fairweather?
Aye.
Member Dahlman?
Aye.
Member Callahan?
Aye.
And Chair Hunter?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay. Next is a public hearing to consider site plan to review roof materials for the Lake Bluff Library at 123 East Scranton. Who's going to speak for the roof? Okay, fine. Wait a minute, this is a public hearing?
Yep, so we gotta swear everybody in.
So, anybody that's going to speak, I have to swear you in. This is a swearing night. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the testimony you are about to give? If so, please say, "I do."
I do.
Okay. And you are?
My name is Sean Kelly. I'm an architect with Enberg Anderson.
Okay.
So I submitted, the library has submitted documents to replace their existing roof on their library. The intention of the library is to actually bid out the project with 4 options. The initial option that will be available will be a cedar shake roof, which is exactly what is on the building today. So if you go over there and look at it without the moss, it would look pretty much the same. Over time, the wood shake will gray and will be pretty similar to the look you see. There are 3 other options that we're here today to discuss. One would be a synthetic shake, and we have samples of this here. The library's considering all of these different options mainly because they all offer pros and cons to the building, both cost, aesthetic, as well as performance and maintenance over time. So by being able to bid out 4 options, the library will actually be able to have the real costs in hand and make a final decision upon the receipt of bidding. So what we're looking at is really three different colors that we're proposing today to include in these bid documents in order to get pricing. The option that I was going to, the synthetic shake, is intended to look very similar to a natural wood shake. It's up on the table. I can hand it out. You can walk around with it. It comes in a very limited amount of colors, mainly because it is intended to look like the real wood product. It is not intended to kind of be an accent piece similar to what you would see in like a asphalt shingle or a metal roof. The second option that we're looking at is a standing seam metal roof. We are looking at this. This offers a great amount of durability, but there is higher end cost. There's also some acoustics issues when it rains with a metal roof, but the durability over time, I think would be, and the low maintenance would be a benefit to not only the library, but the community that supports the library. We have a color option there as well that I can pass around to you. The last option would be an asphalt shingle style roof, which is pretty common, which you can see pretty much on any street anywhere. That, although offers a low maintenance, it also offers a low initial cost. The kind of the con to this is the lifespan of this product is a little bit less than some of the competitive other ones up there, but weighing them all together, I think offers the library the ability to choose an option that best fits not only the budgetary needs of the library, but also the aesthetic needs of the community.
Okay. Tim, I'm going to start with you. Got any questions?
Yeah, so
Thoughts?
the synthetic shake shingles, how long have they been out in the marketplace? Like, what's the longest they've been out there? How have they held up?
This was actually one of the initial questions that the library board had, who's had weighed all of these options, and they haven't been around that long. I can't give you an exact date because I don't know it, but not 50 years, which is pretty much all the other products that we get to look at up here and kind of weigh. It does come with a warranty of 50 years. I can only attest to what they're willing to stand behind on their product.
I really like the standing seam metal roof. I think that's, it's been proven that works. I don't really know about the acoustics of it though. Or, I know you guys get a lot of snow here. I didn't grow up here. Does it like shoot off the roof with heavy snow loads or anything?
It will.
Yeah,
Well.
they have snow guards that they put across.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
that.
With both the synthetic shake and the metal roof, the building would have snow guards on it with both of those options.
Okay.
Neil?
I think if I had to rank them like you just did, I think I agree with you. I'd like the standing seam roof. And I guess I rank the other three equally, that I don't, the asphalt is probably the bottom of my list. What I'm concerned about is, well, two things. I want to verify that you're doing the back side of the building as well as the front side, because everything in the presentation only talked about the front.
Is the complete roof and flat roofs.
Oh, and the flat roofs. The concern I have is the color. I like the style of the building and the appearance of it, and the roof is an extremely important part of it, but the gray color just doesn't do anything for me. It's a benign color, it's extremely neutral, and the color of the roof seems to me to be something that could help the building. The gray color doesn't seem to me to do anything. And there are some other buildings in town, particularly the public safety building across the street and the warming house in Artesian Park, particularly the east end where they put an addition on, that it's kind of like a red-brown color that is complementary to the brick instead of trying to be a contrast. I guess the medium to dark gray is a contrast, but it's not much of a contrast. It kind of disappears, and the roof of this building that's the most significant part of the whole building. So, anyway, I would be willing to accept the gray if that's what you guys really want, but it wouldn't be my choice.
We offered every option up to the library board. We did provide recommendations to them, so it wasn't like they just were picking from everything. But they did have the option to go through everything. They debated what they felt was going to be a color that I think complemented what the existing style was, and that was really kind of the avenue that they went down. Something that if they were going to change to a different material, that they weren't, I guess, putting a red door where there wasn't a red door previously. So I don't know exactly how they got to the materials, other than all the ones that they picked were some of the ones that we recommended, but we did recommend a wider range. We didn't just say, you should pick this.
Well, you see gray all over town. I even refer to the primary color in Lake Bluff as Lake Bluff gray. But that doesn't mean they have, I suspect, I don't know this, but I suspect they went with it because that's what's there.
Right, I would guess that they wanted to match what was there and not necessarily change what the aesthetic nature was of the area.
That's it.
Matt?
Yeah, I just have a concern. Have you seen that installation of the synthetic cedar anywhere? Are there any examples that?
Yeah, there are quite a few around town, and we did actually provide the library board with locations that they got to visit.
Okay.
Of all the materials, that was the most, I think, scrutinized of them
I'm sure,
because
yeah.
of the
Yeah,
relatively short history.
sure. The standing seam always seems to elevate the elevations, if that's not an annoying sentence. I think it always adds another character to and it is a major player in that elevation. So I'm always a big fan of the standing seam. There will be oil, the problem is you get some of that oil canning, it's never as perfect as we all want it, but, and I don't think the sound, I've installed them on residences, and there's no, there's ways to minimize any kind of impact noise from the rain. And I don't have a problem with asphalt shingle either. I think that's a very, we're putting it on a lot of the major buildings in our town. I don't see a reason to shy away. Right. Yeah, I don't see a reason to shy away from it or feel that it's kind of diminishing the integrity of that village or the building. So I wouldn't shy away from putting that up there as the top tier. I think they're all good. I would just have the same concerns everybody has about the synthetic. It's always sometimes they always look, they try too hard. It's a very thick synthetic, it's
the same thickness as the.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's a big statement, so if it's a big statement that goes wrong, then it's a big statement that goes wrong. So I would shy away. And I don't think the natural cedar makes a lot of sense to me. Just seems to have upkeep issues. It's not as, I think, I don't think it's I don't want to say reasonable, but I think to me a true cedar would be the least of mine, and I'd rank, the standing seam and asphalt as 1 and 1A, and then the synthetic if they feel it's good, and then I'd put natural cedar last. just for this building, I think it's an expense that may not hold up to its value after a while, just with the aging and.
Carol?
Boy, a lot of consensus here. I'm surprised it took this long to talk about wood, but I'm with you on that. I know this community is infatuated with wood roofing, but, you know, unless you have a cute little cottage, it's really not a material in harmony with a building style. This one definitely, I think, is not a wood roof building, and fake wood that really doesn't sit any better than real wood, but you know, the real wood is literally a bad investment. It just doesn't last. So you could go a long way to do that look, which people choose to do on their homes, and that's great, but I don't think it belongs on an iconic building that's essentially a commercial institutional building, and I mean that in a nice way. I don't mean those as pejorative terms. I mean, you have a look, people want everything to work there, right? They don't want, you know, rustic compromises like we make at home. We make our deal with the devil where, you know, something gets old and banged up and we just keep it because we think it'll appreciate us or something, I don't know. In the library, everybody wants everything to be perfect. They certainly don't want a roof leak. So I just think it's real funny that wood is a choice, actually, but I think it's in sync with the community. My first impression was, oh yeah, standing metal seam, absolutely, positively, yes. Asphalt shingles, I also think could be just fine. It's very interesting that you're pricing 4 different things because you will have a range of costs. My best guess is a really expensive shingle might overlap with an inexpensive metal, so there might be some latitude there. You know, what would really make my heart sing is like a, I think you have a different sample in your packet, but there's a turn metal roof that's like oxidized copper. It's a minty green. That would really just sing with the color of the building. I would love to see that. It would lighten it up. It would brighten it up. It would feel approachable in a way that wood does, but I don't think wood is right for the building. So, yeah, I land at the 2 extremes probably, not the cheap asphalt, but the shingles. And probably have to find a metal product that is approachable in price. I don't know what your particular selection is, whether it's high-end or not, but I think that would be something to strive for, the metal roof. And I would not object to the noise at all myself. We've heard the comment that it's not necessarily loud, but I do live in a mid-century modern house where my roof is my ceiling, and when it rains, I know and I love it. When it hails, boy, do I know. You know, I can even hear changes in the weather somewhat, you know, definitely changes in temperature, because you probably have the same thing in the library. It's a commercial construction. It does move a little bit with extreme changes in temperature where residential homes don't usually. But yeah, I see a nod there. You probably do hear some things happen. This happens with buildings. They are alive. But yeah, that would far and away be my favorite, is the metal roof. And in this selection, I would look towards, I don't know where to go, because there's not what I'm thinking of. It's like cityscape, but in a teal color instead of a gray color, on the bottom of the standard colors.
I think I have that. Yeah, I don't have that one.
And by the way, very good presentation, that's appreciated. It's also very unusual for someone to come in and give us a chance to play client, so that's kind of fun too. I think you can tell we're enjoying it.
Okay, you done, Carol?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to ask you first, what, as the architect, you got to have your favorite.
I do have one that I like more than other, but it's basically more on experience than it is on some of the other qualifications that are in here. And I would pick asphalt shingle,
Okay.
because over time, I think you're gonna get a better product for a lower cost.
Okay, well, now I get to say my piece. You know, the cedar shingles used to be a good deal until they started growing trees like they grow cows. And so the trees are not as strong. And so the shingles, instead of lasting 40 years, last about 12. So plus the cost. I would take that off the map. That is just bothersome for some reason, because I don't know what it is. From 50 feet away, it probably is just dandy, but, you know, what the sun does to some materials like that, I'm sure it's been sitting out in somebody's yard for quite a while testing it, but we don't know that. The standing seam would not be my favorite. It changes the character of the building totally. And, you know, the metal that's that is true copper over there. And where there is a standing seam, it's a clinched standing seam. So you have nothing but a very fine line instead of, you know, a half-inch, you know, crimp. But the patina that you get from copper cannot be duplicated. You know, they try it, and it's just not there. So I guess I'm working my way down to, my recommendation would be the asphalt shingle. But in the grand scheme of things, it's gonna get down to what the library board wants once the bid comes in. I think, you know, I don't think we can dictate which one of those materials we do.
Yeah, I do have a comment about the copper. That would be my choice
Oh,
also.
Lord, that's expensive.
My not choice would be the one that's imitation copper. You know, that they paint it the green color, and boy, does it look like an imitation.
Yes.
Yeah, the only problem with copper is that it takes a long time to get to that really neat patina.
It does, and, you know, that building originally
It's the
was
best.
designed with a copper roof.
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah. Not only was it, instead of like this, it was a curved building like that. Anyway, so that's neither here nor there, but, yeah, the copper takes a long time depending on the climate that you're in, but it does what it does, and it just looks good. Okay, so enough of that. I'm not quite sure where to take this, because I don't think it's up to us to say, do this and do this color. We're kind of doing this advisory.
No, it's a site plan review, so it's a recommendation to the village board. So, yeah, so if you guys want to make a motion to approve all three, that's what they're requesting, and then the library board has the final choice.
Well, judging from, you know, what you have up here is 3 architects right now. So 50 years of experience. Anyway, I would not necessarily recommend that one or the shingles. And the rest of it is personal choice, sort of.
You said you would not recommend the synthetic slate, but did you say you would not recommend the shingles?
I meant the cedar.
The cedar.
The
Oh,
shakes,
cedar,
yeah.
yeah, right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think the standing seam is probably an unnecessary expense for, you know,
Those
for what
kind
they-
of standing seams
Yep.
have an industrial look to them.
yeah,
And if you just go by the Ferrari store,
Yep.
you know, that was my objection at the time they did that.
Sorry.
So, do we kind of agree with each other here that the two would be compatible, or should we just take the metal off the table? I
But
don't,
3 of us like the metal.
okay.
We could talk about shingle colors, and Neil made a comment about color. I would definitely go to the lighter colors on that building, look for a little contrast between the peachy color, but keep it light.
I don't know where the board stands. Kathy, is the board have a preference here?
I do not for the museum, but I believe the library.
Eric?
Can you just swear me in then?
Sure.
Yeah, I guess I do, yeah, okay, there's my paper. Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the testimony you're about to give? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
To introduce myself for the folks at home, I'm Eric Bailey. I'm the library director for the Lake Bluff Public Library. As far as the thinking of the library board, I think different trustees at this time have different favorites, though I would say that the asphalt and the standing seam probably have the most proponents on the library board, those two items. I think the big goal for the library board in terms of going ahead with the bid is really wanting to factor all of the items in, on that final decision, including the cost. So being able to get in those numbers that we would get with the bid process, and then weighing all the factors at that point and making the final decision. So there are definitely materials here that I would say board is more fond of than others, but kind of trying to leave all of the ponies in the race, even if they only have an outside chance, until we get all the information on the table.
Well, I think what you've heard from this group and your architect is that it would not be a good idea to use the cedar shake. So I'd have a hard time saying, yeah, go ahead if that's, even if they came in cheaper than anything else that you've got, I wouldn't put them on. But that's based on what seems to be happening to Cedar, and they're putting them on all the high-priced houses all over the place. But they certainly don't last as long as they used to.
Having at present a roof that's only been on for 15 years that very much needs to be replaced, and having that also be a roof that started developing some leak problems just a couple years after it was put on, I can confidently say that is far and away the least likely option that we'll be going with.
Okay.
And my understanding from Sean is as well that in addition, pushing us even further in that direction, which I did not know, is that there's, I guess, tariffs now on cedar imports from Canada. So the price on that is coming up so that it's, talking in terms of the synthetics and the metal seam, ordinarily those would be more expensive options. But I gather that they most likely won't be when we get the bids in.
Okay, what's everybody else think, since we have to make, send something to the board?
Maybe it's between the standing seam and the asphalt, and just keep the other. I'm not comfortable with the synthetic. I wouldn't want to be responsible for putting that up there.
I mean, as I understand, what we're supposed to be doing is make a recommendation.
Yeah,
don't
and
see
I
the
wouldn't be
point
comfortable
of
recommending that.
recommending some of these things.
Yeah,
I would not recommend the standing seam myself, because I don't think it's appropriate
yeah,
look.
and that's,
But that's just me, so what do we all think?
And I think if you wish, you do have the option to grant approval with comments in the motion too, as to the degree of preference, if you want to do that.
Well, how about if we say we're gonna rank these the way we feel about them?
sure.
Yeah, you could do that.
You can do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And are we taking into account our notion of what it might cost or what its life cycle might be? Or are we just going to get the client here and say what we want to see?
Well, some of that, you know what it's gonna be.
You're hedging.
I would think we shouldn't include in the list ones that, between us, we generally don't like, which is
Yeah.
the synthetic and you guys have been unhappy with the cedar. I don't see any reason to include
Right.
those as options when none of us like them.
Well, that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you wanted to rank them and they're down at, they're both down at the bottom, same.
So they're tied for fourth instead of tied for third?
Or not even have it on a list. I mean, I would
leave
even
them
take them off the list.
Yeah,
I would take those two off the list.
it will make the bid process a little easier.
Yeah, I just think there's no reason to put that out for, if I was the client, I'd say, don't put those out for bid.
I'd like to
I would just toss this over real quick to Sean, since we brought him in and we paid him some money here to be our expert. So
Sure.
if there's a reason to keep those
Okay.
in, particularly the cedar, which is our current roofing material, I'd like him to speak to that.
We're only asking for approval on the 3. We do not technically need approval on the cedar shake.
Okay, yeah, and that's a great point, yeah. Because it's there.
Making
Because it's
sure.
already there.
Yeah,
I don't want, right, because it's already
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
We're
perfect.
replacing
Yeah,
existing.
so that'll be,
Right.
so our conscience can be clear if they go with it.
Right.
Well, we can recommend that they don't go with it, and that
Right.
it'll just, as a comment.
Sure,
Yeah.
Could we make a,
Your architect is also recommending that, I think, so.
yeah.
could we make a recommendation to the board that they approve either the standing seam or the shingles, and that perhaps the architect would reconsider the colors? Maybe that shouldn't be part of the motion, I don't know.
I don't feel comfortable picking the color.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
We are not the client.
I agree.
We could make suggestions that maybe lighten it up or something, but I personally don't think we should be picking. We got the guy here sitting here that they're paying
Yeah.
to help out with that.
Yeah.
So can we say metal and shingle are tied for first in this group?
I
and
don't think
shake and
tides-
shake are tied for last?
I don't think tide's gonna be the right word.
No,
What do you want to say?
So I'm with you on the shingle, the asphalt as one,
shingle would be my first preference.
yeah.
Metal is a distant second. That's,
And I agree with you, it will totally change that. It'll become a standing seam metal roof building.
there's a massive amount of roof.
Yeah,
The
it's
building is all about
3/4
roof.
of the elevation, so, yeah.
It's like-
Yeah.
Neil?
No question, the shingle would match just about everything else in town.
Doesn't have to, it's a library. But, Carol?
Shingles are the workhorse of a building, absolutely. You got a sloped roof, got to consider shingles. To Neil's point, he wanted something a little livelier. I'm seeing rainbow slate from here, I'm seeing green, blue, red. Maybe we should open a consultancy picking shingle colors and arranging them in patterns.
No, you guys do that, I'm going home now.
But I'm with Neil, I would like to see it livened up from dull brown or dull gray. And I don't think matching the peachy brick color is finding a complementary color that contrasts to it is the way to go. So we don't get to pick it, but I got the microphone, so.
We can make a recommendation as to tone or whatever, but,
So you want me to try a motion?
you go at it.
I move we recommend that the village board approve either the cedar shake or the standard.
Cedar shake? No.
No, that was one of the ones that you said is already approved.
Yeah.
We don't have to approve that one. That's already approved.
No,
Right, so you don't have to mention it. You don't have to mention it in the
Okay.
motion. because
The
if you do
standing
it-
seam, or the asphalt shingle in a color as selected by the architect and the library board.
I'm hoping it's a high-end asphalt shingle, but I don't think we get to make that choice either.
What do they call the higher, the architectural grade or,
Yeah,
yeah. Which is what we just finished putting on the train station.
Right, and they're actually planning to
That's the
use,
same
I
thing.
mean, they're looking at the exact same color, exact same shingle as train station and Village Hall there.
Yeah.
That's what their sample is. The GIF shingles, yeah, exact same shingle.
Consistent, it's all public.
yeah,
Yeah.
I heard they just call it architectural shingle.
yeah.
Yeah.
My only issue with that motion is I don't equate those two equally.
I don't either.
So I don't know if we can, I don't know if that's the consensus of the board, that we.
I don't think there's a consensus. I mean, you and I like the asphalt shingles. I don't know, Tim, if you're a favorite or Neil? Carol likes the metal.
I can go even up.
If it were up to me and I'd pay for it, it'd be asphalt.
Well, it's because you're paying for it.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and
And we are paying for it.
Yeah.
I would do the metal because I think they'll get potentially 50 years' worth of use versus 20. Or less. I have a 40-year shingle on my roof, and I'm hoping I get 20,
Yeah.
because I don't believe them when they say 40.
Yeah, but the metal is 4 times the cost
Yeah.
of asphalt without trying.
I suspect that the ultimate decision is gonna be when they get all the bids in, and it's gonna be based on the cost, not the
Yeah.
appearance.
So where are we? We're going around in circles here.
Well, I think the motion is that our preference is for a high-end shingle
Yep.
or a metal roof, and it is not for the cedar or the synthetic cedar, period.
That's what we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moved?
Is that a motion?
So motioned? I second that. Just,
Okay, whatever it
Finalize
is, let's do a roll call on it.
yeah. Clean that up, Michael.
Okay.
Do you know what we just said? Okay.
That's the right, good. Then we did our job. If you don't quite know, then that's the perfect.
Could you say it once more, Carol, so I can get it in the notes?
Say, we had a definite preference for the shingle and metal samples, and a definite dispreference for the shake and the synthetic shake.
Okay. Got it.
You know, we must be just such Luddites. I can't believe they say they'll guarantee it for 50 years. I'm just astonished, because it feels like UV would just
Yeah.
destroy it.
I picked
In a
it up
matter
and
of
I
a few
felt
years.
like a Halloween mask.
Yeah, it already, well, it's already curved
Yeah.
for just,
That's gonna be the phone cord. I left it in my car.
yeah, well, but still, that's,
Oh,
it's.
okay. That's a good.
Oops,
that's a good
doesn't like
test.
heat?
That's okay. Plastic will do what plastic does.
Right, okay.
All right, have you got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Ready for a roll call vote?
Have you got it that you can read it back?
Sure, yeah, so we have a preference for the asphalt shingle or metal roof, and a dispreference for the shake and synthetic shake.
And color to be the library board preference, or do we even need to say? Should we just leave it out? It's not really our business, perhaps?
I think it's a good idea to put it in the motion, so it's clear
Yeah.
what we're saying.
But the board still has the ability to do what they're gonna do.
Right, right. Right, to put in the motion that the colors are to be chosen by the library.
Oh, that's not what Carol was saying, or is it?
I think it is.
I think that's where we land, yes.
Yes.
I think you said that most specifically, Bob, so we could make that perfectly clear to the village trustees.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Is that a first or a second? That's the second.
It was already seconded.
Yeah,
Matt seconded
I-
that.
Okay.
Carol made the
Pre-
motion,
I
Matt seconded that.
pre-second.
Okay,
All right.
so
Yeah,
we're ready
Neil
for
and I are
me to-
voting already.
Isn't this fun? Okay. Roll call then on this.
Okay. Member Callahan,
Aye.
Member Dahlman,
Aye.
Member Russ,
Aye.
and Member Carewick.
Aye.
And Chair Hunter.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes, recommendation passes.
When's this all gonna happen? When is the next board meeting?
So, yeah, I can put that on for the July 23rd Village Board meeting for the final approval, if you'd like. Yep.
When do you expect to actually do the roof?
We are planning to actually bid it as early as tomorrow,
Okay.
but the bidding is at least 3-week
Yeah.
period of time to make sure that we abide by all the bidding requirements. You then take a week to review it, and then I believe it'll be in front of the board in August.
Okay.
Then you hope to be actually doing the
September, I would hope we'd be up there as soon as we can.
okay, good
Great.
luck, hope it happens.
Yeah. Great.
All right, great. Thank you
Thanks.
for bearing with us. I feel for you, Sean.
You too, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Great presentation. Thanks for the effort.
Okay. What's next?
Sign code.
Sign code. Why do I think we've done this 15 times?
This is my first.
Yes, fresh eyes, start over.
All right. Where did we leave off?
So let's see, so in April, we had talked about awnings. We had our, our indoor walk of the downtown where we showed the pictures of the awnings. And the recommendation we came up with then had 4 parts, that awnings should be angle-shaped with an 8-inch valance, only text on the valance and no graphics on the awnings, and landlord shall establish a color scheme for the building and colors to be sympathetic to building colors. So that's where we were in April. At the last meeting, we said we wanted to discuss it more and maybe make some changes to that.
This is what I wasn't at.
Oh, okay, right.
Okay, what's the changes in the discussion?
I don't know, did anyone remember wanting to make any changes to that?
Well, I didn't think we were quite done with it. I think we've been close. I think we've talked about it a bunch of times, but, the last awning we did is what inspired all of this angst, and I think I still have the same issues tonight that I had when that presentation happened, and I said, I love apricot. And when someone comes in and, I can't say, we can't approve or disapprove, oh, I like that color, oh, that color's sweet, oh, that color's cute, oh, I don't like that color. Saying we need to be complimentary or sensitive has not gotten us anywhere. It's been years of confusion here. So I do think we should do some revisions that are not represented. For instance, point D, the shape of all awning signs should relate to the building facade and to the awning signs on adjacent buildings. Well, that's kind of a throwaway. They pretty much stay the shape that they are on a building right now. They're either, that mansard shape or the angle. They could be a quarter round, but we don't have one of those. I just don't know why would we even say that. It's saying, it doesn't say anything saying it should relate. That's been a joke since I've been an architect, to say you have to make a sensitive choice. It's like, okay, fine, but it doesn't mean anything to anybody. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't nail anything down. We talk about signs over and over again. We've talked about awnings over and over again because we're trying to be kind to petitioners, but it really should say something like, the coloring of awnings and signs shall be within the colorways jointly approved by the ABR and the landlord. Seeing the landlord have to approve it means nothing. People come in here and they go, oh yeah, I want my 4th sign on the building because the landlord said I could. We can't fight that battle. So telling the landlord to pick an awning color, they'll just tell the tenant, pick whatever you want and go, the ABR will approve it, don't worry. That's what happened with our last real sign, not awning sign. I don't think it's apparent to people that awnings are being considered signs either, which is what our language assumes. So awnings and signs, which are 2 different things. It's talking about awning signs here, but we're also talking about awnings. Awnings and signage shall be within the colorways approved by the ABR and the landlord. There has to be a joint agreement between the ABR and the landlord as to what is sensitive, what is complimentary. Because I'm not going to tell a petitioner, no, I don't like apricot, you can't have it. I don't really have any standing to do that with the language that we have. And as soon as that went up, somebody complained to me about it. You approved that?
So are we just saying that we want the landlord to have tenant sign criteria for their whole building and to follow it?
And I think, yeah, because we have said this. And I don't know that Bob was in town when we said this, but we said we can go around in circles and let people pick a color and come in and we can go, oh, we like it, or oh, we don't like it, or we can just have some colors. And remember, Danley came in with some samples and said, look, here's like 7 or 8 that are good. What's wrong with that?
So the notion that all awnings in town are the same color is not necessarily what we're trying to do.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that was a discussion, which I wasn't happy about, but I think they were showing like Market Square where it is all consistent,
Right.
and they were saying that's a very successful. I think the scale of that is, it feels like it's, and I kind of find it boring if everything is the same. I don't think that's our town. But I like the idea of an approved list, so we're not fighting the battle of an apricot versus a rose color or something.
That-
Yeah, and we've already got Mike chasing down a landlord over a sign tonight, administrative.
Well, actually, I was just, came to a realization looking at our downtown sign code copy that's in the back of this packet. And we were all thinking of what the code is out in the business park, which is 2 signs per lot, no matter how many businesses you have.
Yeah, this says
But-
per business.
Downtown, it's per, 1 wall sign per business, so they can, if they have 3 businesses in that building on Scranton, each business can have 1 wall sign.
We haven't gotten to that part yet.
Yeah, so,
But yes,
so we didn't need to worry about that on the
exactly.
first.
Per business.
item.
But I am worried about per business. And right
Yeah,
now, I'm just talking
right.
about awnings and signs, and we consider awnings to be signs, which is totally not clear to anybody who comes in here.
How many awnings do we have in this whole town? I mean, we're really
4 or 5.
starting to.
I have the slideshow if we want to take a quick run through it.
There's the ones
I think we
across
have
the
like
street
6.
that are white.
There's
there.
more, I think.
Oh, is there? Salon,
Let's see.
which is the worst one.
Yeah, Salon is not in this collection that that
Nobody
we
wants
have.
to keep it.
It'd look better if they just took it off. The rest of the
It would,
building
I
is
know.
showing its transom.
Yeah.
But then somebody had to pay to do it, so it's not going to happen. I shouldn't say it that way so
See,
bluntly.
and these awnings here don't have a skirt.
Right. And that was the issue.
And, well,
One
let
of
me,
these.
let me make another comment, that maybe we should not allow any signage on any awning and deal with the signage.
Oh,
Yeah, I would say the tough thing about that,
Where we have, who kept count?
I forgot about the Innovacia as an awning, I guess that's an awning.
Yeah,
So
right,
that's 6, 7, 8, 9. Still 9,
okay.
so 9-ish.
and we
Yeah.
also talked about establishing some kind of a sign ban with a landlord, and then they wouldn't even have to come here if they followed the sign ban, which is what we did
Love
on
to
Block
do
1.
That's, yeah, block
Can you go
one.
back to the tangerine one again?
Why?
It's coming.
There it is.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I don't like the color on that, but I don't have any problem with the graphics on it. Now move off, because everybody's getting sick.
I like the variety. I think the downtown is nice. I mean, we have the one building that's, we have Block 1, which has this uniformity, but I think this isn't, things here aren't that uniform. The building's not uniform. I don't have an issue with different things happening. I think we can talk about the other parts of that discussion, but I don't
Yeah.
know, having the same awning throughout Lake Bluff sounds very painful to me. I just think it's not our town. Feels very Celebration City-ish.
You ever read Learning from Las Vegas? Chaos is,
Yeah,
is the theory.
yeah, I like Scott
And, a little
Ventura.
bit of chaos maybe takes away some of the boredom, which was the whole theory.
Yeah, I'm all for Ventura.
Read that whole
Yeah.
book.
Remember Danley said she'd even go for stripes as long as they're in her approved colors, which she had in her hand.
Yeah. But I guess the thing is, if we make when are these awnings ever gonna really change? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be 20 years before we get to, like,
I'm gonna be gone.
no awnings.
Could be next
If we say
week.
there's no more advertisement on awnings, I think we're gonna end up with, no one's ever gonna change their awning then, because they're just gonna,
I would think the retailers want things to be different. They want to
Yeah.
stand out.
yeah.
Yeah.
In other words, like for Whitehead Studios, when they're talking
Yeah.
about somebody coming to town to find them, they just
Yeah.
say, look for the peach awning.
Right.
Easy to find them.
Stands out in the crowd.
I mean, it does give everything character.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a homogeneous group of buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, all the buildings are different too, so.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like our approach really is just ask everybody come in for a variance, Big graphics, big letters,
I know.
you don't like that.
we
We
got-
like that stuff. We like it.
I don't find anything wrong with it.
I tell you what I'm tired of. He's having this discussion.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
That's, and I think that's the thing, it's a never
This has
ending.
gone on for years. It's like,
Yeah.
I
Well,
could-
we're encouraging people to come in for a variance every time. We have one conforming awning on didn't we decide that one?
I don't even know which one that is. That's these.
See?
The white ones, right?
But I think those are too low.
They're too low, yeah.
They're almost there.
There's our conforming awning.
That is, but it has 3 things on it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right. It's not
There's
conforming. Where do we have a conforming
I don't
awning?
think we do.
Oh, I know. There.
Really?
It's our least favorite one.
I think that's awful.
That's why we go in circles.
Yeah,
I
because
think we should hang some
Cleaned up a
wagon
little bit.
wheels from each end of that thing.
something,
On a Stover wagon in green.
yeah,
I wonder why they have 2 phone numbers on the door.
yeah, I know, we still can't. Anyways,
Short-term memory problems.
Yeah, yeah.
it is for the
Okay,
plantings.
what are we doing here?
I say we punt.
Well, do we like things the way they were with the last recommendation on April 3rd? With the awnings to be angle-shaped with an 8-inch valance, text on the valance only, landlord color scheme?
Yeah, I don't even like that. I
Do we
don't
want to
know.
go back to the way we had things on February 7th when we did the meeting with committee of the whole? We go with that?
What,
That had less about awnings
Yeah.
in there.
yeah,
The only one of those,
The
the
consistent
only one of those that
landlord
I'd even
color scheme.
think of wanting is part of number 4. I would eliminate colors to be sympathetic to building colors, but it is a possibility to say landlord should establish a color scheme for the building. I could see that. But I would not be in favor of the other 3. And on the other list, the sign code,
Don't jump ahead.
Yeah.
okay,
Which-
okay,
what page are
okay,
you
stick
on,
with
Neil?
that one, all right.
Which sheet are you on, Neil?
he's
Sheet
still
on
on.
test.
He's looking at the cover memo, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take them one by one then. Number 1, I'm good with that.
Where are we?
Cover.
The cover memo on the top. So in other words, awnings to be angle-shaped with an 8-inch valance?
7, actually, isn't it?
Well, I had 8 in my notes from that night.
Yeah, I don't even like the valance.
Oh,
I like the other, I'm just telling you. I guess we have to talk about, let's go backwards, because the only reason I have the valance is that's where we're gonna put the, so we need to say, is that where we're only gonna allow the logo or the signage? If not, the valance serves no purpose. So, that's the only reason I have the valance, is that if we say that's the only place to put the signage. And if that's the case, then that's the case. But if we like it on this sloped part of it, then we don't need the valance as a controlling factor.
I don't even mind if we had the balance and we had the letters on the balance. I still don't mind the idea of putting a logo or something up on the slope part. I like the variety.
Yeah, I do too. I just think putting everything on a balance isn't, I don't know, but that's just my
You're
issue.
not, if you do that, and then you say all typeface has to be the same size, all thing has to be the same
But we
stuff,
haven't done
then
any of
we're
that
not-
yet.
we're not even-
I'm just saying,
and I
I'm
don't
kind
know
of,
that we want to do that either.
I'm just kind of living by what the board does. It's like, I think we have some nice signage here. And it wasn't per code, it's just they came in and we said, oh, someone said that looked good. Instead of designating, it's on this thing and we're just gonna fight that forever. And the bottom line is, it'll never happen. I just think when are these signs, these awnings ever
We
gonna
have,
change?
there's not going to be any more new awnings
Right.
in town
And
until there's a storm comes along and rips these off.
Exactly. Yeah.
that's what we need, a good microburst.
Yeah, or, some midnight, okay.
Yeah, some midnight riders.
You know, we've been so inept at this, I think we should probably form a committee of landscape architects to resolve it.
There, yeah, we got one. I'm inclined to agree with Matt, that I don't think anything's gonna happen until some tenant changes on the existing places that we have, and they're gonna want a purple sign instead of whatever's there. And we're gonna go through this again on those two awnings. The white awnings, have ever changed.
Yeah. And those are, I don't like, I mean, I don't like
Of
that
all the
one,
awnings
but
in town,
I don't like those three
those are
awnings.
The scallops?
I find those
Yeah.
annoying.
You know, I want to see, you know, Andy Griffith come walking down the street with,
Yeah. And that whole, it just looks clumsy. It's very, there's nothing elegant about that. The scalloping's frustrating. It looks like it's a roller shade that wants to just retract back. It does, doesn't it? I mean, there's just something about it that
It kinda
annoys me.
does.
It's not clean. I like the.
Is it a roller
cleanliness.
Yeah. But those did enliven the building, which is why people like awnings.
Well, I'm all for the awning. I just say that solution, which would be approved, does not do anything for me. Versus Prairie and the ones, I think those are nicer awnings than this thing that's kind of like generic. It's a very generic awning.
isn't an awning supposed to offer protection? I mean, we don't allow it, I mean, it should be like 5 feet over the sidewalk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but nobody's going to do that.
No. And we can't project more than 2 feet out, right? Or is that because,
You know, I
you
forgot.
say a sign can't, so if we say an awning's a sign, but we're not saying that.
Right,
But when you
yeah, I
say
don't
the
recall
5
specific-
feet, that may be because our sign code says they can't extend more than 2 feet.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just being facetious with the 5 feet, but, you know,
Yeah.
it's nice if you're walking along someplace that actually has real awnings, and you
Right.
can kind of get under it.
Kind of get under for the rain.
You know, you just keep going under the awnings.
Well, the
I have
logical
that.
purpose of the awning is to keep sun out of the window and to keep rain off our head.
Yeah.
Right.
And that doesn't satisfy either one.
There is a 2-foot limit in the current code for
Yeah.
awnings for projecting out
That's
over the
probably a
public
foot.
right of way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking about 10 inches.
Yeah, I mean, it's not 2 feet,
No.
so, right there, we need to call the carpet on that one. Can we move off of this and go on to some other things and come back to this if we still feel we've
Well,
got breath enough?
this is all we had for tonight.
Okay, the awning?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
that's,
good.
I think that's
Okay.
all,
So we-
all you guys said you wanted to discuss last time,
We
right?
did,
So-
didn't we submit to the village board the business of the monument signs out in the park? You know, 8 foot, 7, whatever it is, you know, from ground.
Yep.
Yep.
And that one, if that's part of the code now, or are they dithering on that?
No, so we're, our plan is to send all of the ABR's recommendations that are zoning code amendments to the PCZBA in August for them to hold the public hearing and send it forward to the village board for approval. So that would include, you know, the sign code changes that we're talking about, you know, and also the recommendation we made for, site plan review changes,
Yeah.
you know, for it to be based on the type of use rather than the zoning district,
I forgot all about that.
right?
So really, the only thing in that recommendation is number 1, right, for the awning, is just the color. On the February 7th, the attachment number 2.
Oh,
Right.
right, yeah.
I mean, is this what we're kind of forwarding to them?
So the residential design standards are not a zoning ordinance thing,
Right.
so that's not going forward.
No, I'm just
But-
saying,
but
under
from
the sign code, like, it's just number 1 is the awning issue, right? There's no other awning issue that we've dealt with.
Right, yeah, that's right, that was really the only awning recommendation we had on here.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, okay, so just stick with what we,
I don't know if other people are, but it's just the color of one.
right. Do we want to take the current code requirement that they can't project more than 2 feet into the public right-of-way out of the code and allow larger projections? Or do we just want to grant variances on a case-by-case? for
No,
that?
they all gotta be the same.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I think you can't,
Yeah, can't have
Yeah,
one
this.
sticking out farther, right? Okay.
although Matt would like this.
I'm not so much this, I like this.
oh, that's what we got.
Yeah. That's very painful. But a lot of these project more than 2 feet, don't they, or no?
Well, you know, the code is 2 feet into the public right-of-way, so there could be.
It could be the building could be set back a little bit.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
right. It could be a few inches
Yeah,
back.
most buildings downtown like this one, they're right on the right of way.
Zero lot line.
Yeah, a lot
Can
of
you
them.
go back to, like, the white, just to see what those project out?
To which ones?
Like those?
Yeah.
So, okay, that seems to project more.
But also, look at,
The perspective, I mean, it's the same one we were looking at, anyways.
I'm just trying to get a sense of where that.
Scale?
Where that building is. Look, the building is set back farther than the other building. You
Yeah.
see
About
in
what,
the
half a
distance
foot or
there.
something
You
like
can see
that?
it,
So,
they're
yeah.
ramped up there where the planters are. You can see
Right,
it.
right, yeah. So that's, building's not right on the property line
Yeah.
there.
What about the ones here? Not that one.
Not that either.
That's way more.
That's
than two.
definitely more.
But
But
that might be
that's
set
also
back.
not the property line
Yeah, so
because,
that's- yeah, that's
right.
in
They
that.
have
Oh,
some
yeah,
property in
yeah.
front of that
Yeah.
there too.
Is there a safety issue that is 2 feet? You know, it's not a handicap thing, right?
No, right, no, I don't think it's a
I mean,
safety
it's,
issue.
it's just a thing.
Right, yeah.
It's hard to tell what those project out.
It is, yeah.
Nobody can walk under them anyway because people put stuff there.
I know, it is.
Well, and the village puts stuff, you know,
Yeah, I
there
know.
are the planters that go in front of all the stores,
Yeah,
which
no.
is, you know, very pleasant.
Yeah.
There are some that I'm aware of in Highland Park that are not awnings per se, but they're a projection of the building itself that creates an awning.
Right.
And they project out about 6 or 8 feet.
Yeah.
And what they do is they create a nice area to walk under when it's raining.
Yeah, well, that's a feature of the building, and that we
Yeah.
can't do, I mean,
But it is a projection over the public right-of-way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
2 feet seems very small.
Well, like that one over Hansa, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it comes out and covers
it's a
the
stair.
Yeah,
entrance and
captures the
stairs.
steps,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, yep,
And that's more than 2 feet.
For sure.
right.
Good idea for a hot coffee on a cold day to not fall down the steps.
Exactly.
Right.
When I look at the existing, are you looking at the sign code?
The last sheet?
Yeah,
I guess my inclination is to suggest the one that I think we should have on here is B, restricting the minimum heights. And I'm not sure that we couldn't strike A, C, and D.
It would certainly save variances, because there wouldn't be rules.
Yeah. Which will make us look less folly-ish. We give them up anyways. At least I do. I don't. You're tougher.
Well, I have two other comments on the existing sign code to muddy the water further. And these were not presented, but Mike did point out that it says per business.
for wall signs.
I think under ground signs, it should certainly say at 4A that no more than one ground sign per lot shall be allowed, including multi-tenant buildings. And then the wall signs per business maybe is okay.
Yeah.
you know, when we've done that, it's been at their entrance. So instead of wall signs like the one we just looked at, having another one underneath it, another one underneath that,
Yeah.
would go around the corner and be by their door.
Yeah, that's what we have at Block 1. Yeah, it directs people upstairs, and
Yeah, and
we did formally, yeah,
the Pilates and all the other thing that's upstairs on
yeah.
Lawrence Building.
So we are allowing each sign to have business, but also on number 10, it says, "No sign shall be placed or maintained on the exterior of any window facing upon any street, except for warning entrance and exit signs." We're definitely not doing that. I mean, there's a lot of window signage.
Where are you?
10, last sentence, end of the existing sign code.
Right, yeah, that's a good point. We should consider whether we want to eliminate that.
Well, I think the spirit of that, isn't it, that no additional signs? Because we had that with like the clock, couple of those, they would have like, we'd say you can only limit your signs, and then they would put more signs in the window, like inside, right? There's an argument about that at one point. No?
Signs inside, yeah, we gave Bluffington's a variance for their sign inside.
Yeah, we've been doing it as a variance to this requirement when they want to do a window sign.
Right. So maybe it's not,
Street.
yeah.
But, it says window signs. I mean, putting copy on a window is a window sign.
Right.
So this is saying nobody's allowed to do that. So everybody has to come in for a variance for, any new business owner would have to technically come in for a variance.
So we tell them, if I'm reading this right, we say you can use up to 15%, but you can't put one on the window.
If your window faces the street, you can't do it.
Where else would you put it?
Well, like Prairie Espresso could do a window sign.
Yeah, so it's,
Makes no
So
sense.
Prairie Espresso can do a window sign, nobody else can.
So way back at the beginning of time, someone made a valiant effort to make a sign code, but here we are.
Right.
yeah, so there needs to be clarity on number 10.
You guys decide. I could say big letters when you enter Lake Bluff. There are no signs, find it yourself.
Get GPS.
Yeah. Shop Amazon. You don't need to be here anyways.
Oh, my.
So we could possibly just eliminate the second sentence of that and
Yeah.
leave the 15% per
I find
window.
it very confusing.
Yeah, it is contradictory.
Right. So if we took out the second sentence, it would just read,
Yeah.
window signs, the aggregate covering of such signs shall not exceed 15% per window.
Yep.
And- Or do we want to limit the number of signs, one per business also?
Well, we do that, right?
We don't for window signs.
Well, we say per business.
At
But
9A.
that's for wall signs, not for window signs.
Oh, so I'm looking at that as kind of the,
You're gonna have a window with multiple businesses.
Or should there be a limit on the total number of signs? You can't do one awning sign, one wall sign, one window sign, and one ground sign?
But we
You have
can
a
in the
total
business
limit?
park now.
Do one of each type?
I think it's a great idea to take out the second sentence in point 10. Should we just discuss the easy one now? I say take it out.
Take it out.
take
Great
out
idea.
which?
Second sentence,
Just
point 10.
Sure.
Do we want to do a motion and vote on just that by itself?
Well, yeah, we could get somewhere by doing that.
Yeah, sounds great.
Sure, so moved.
So second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gone.
Look at us.
Next. And does this have to be presented to the village board too, Mike?
Well, eventually, but it's, actually our plan is for it to go to the PCZBA for them to do the public hearing on all the zoning ordinance amendments and then send the whole thing to village board.
So we want to
Together.
finish this discussion tonight and run screaming away from it.
Yeah.
Right.
We're almost done, right?
So
Yep.
they are not, I think you already answered this question on your memo. You included the list of stuff that we came up with, I don't know, seems like 8 years ago on design standards. That doesn't go to the ZBA.
Right.
I did send that to the HPC.
Yeah, right, yeah. I told Ben you wanted
Yeah.
to go to them, yep.
Okay, what about 4A? No more than one ground sign per lot shall be allowed, including multi-tenant buildings.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Isn't it?
Well, no,
Ground
there's
sign?
the per business clause in a different place, so I just think we should say it, as long as we're here.
Okay, so we're adding including multi-tenant buildings for emphasis on that
I'm hoping.
code, yep. Do we want to vote on that? You suggesting we should make a motion and vote on that
I move.
separately?
I can't move.
I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Woo-hoo!
Okay.
And so then what's left is Neil's comment about number 1, A, B, C, and D.
Yeah, I agree with, well, I think B has some merit, right?
Yeah, Neil didn't include B.
Okay.
He was
Yeah.
said A, C, and D.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so B has merit. I think C, if we came to an agreement of some projection, makes sense. I just think 2 feet's not the right one. Or unless we just, per presentation, deal with that. I mean, no one's gonna come out here with some ridiculous, hopefully, extension.
You never know.
You never know that.
Well, let's take them one by one.
Okay.
1A, valence signage. The descending skirt, I should say.
Yeah.
Are we just going to give that up? Because,
Yeah, half of our signs don't have it, if not more. I say nix it. That's my vote.
okay, should we vote on that? Should we take these one by one?
Moved.
Second?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
This is, I'm sure all the major laws are made this way.
Are we on C or D?
We're still on B. We gotta move to B. Just see if there's a. I think we can take out the,
I think it's fine.
but we don't need to talk about the descending skirt, right?
Well, I think this was written under the, I wonder if this was written under the assumption that the descending skirt didn't have any framework and was therefore, less of a concern if you hit it with something tall,
Right.
allowing that to drop lower.
Okay.
But it's not specific about that, not having a solid framework.
Yeah.
So I don't, not,
You know,
I'm not
this
quite
has
sure
been
of the
around
intention about this.
since Methuselah, because
Right.
if you remember, well, you don't, because you weren't here.
Right.
Maybe Carol was the only, and Neil, but all this building had awnings, and they all had descending skirts.
Uh-huh.
Before the center partnership took it over.
Okay.
And you don't remember that?
The renovation converted it to a sign band that was part of the transom window.
Right, but this
And
is prior
it-
to that.
And this was prior to that?
Yeah.
Nope, I don't remember.
The hardware store, I believe, Peter had an awning out there, I'm not sure. We should
Huh.
look at old photographs, but, there was more of this stuff hanging around off the buildings than there is now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember a lot more awnings.
Yeah.
Well, we can keep B. I mean, it doesn't say it has to have a descending skirt. It just says if you have one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
C?
Maybe instead of the, put A, sorry. So like of a descending skirt or the I don't know if that matters, if that's
Oh, okay.
more.
We could make that
I don't know if
change.
that's a big deal or not.
Right.
If you just eliminated C.
Yeah.
And just let's see what people
Yeah.
come in with.
Yeah.
Then it's not a variance, it's just,
Right.
you're coming in with this thing, and it's 3.5 feet, it looks great.
Yeah.
Something that sticks out 2 feet, looks like a
Yeah,
stop.
because if not, we're gonna be guessing at a number anyways,
Yeah,
without any,
right.
which never seems good. So eliminate C moved?
All in favor of C going?
Aye.
Aye.
Who was the second on that motion?
Everybody.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Great, thanks.
Tim seconded it.
yeah.
Yay, Tim.
And then eliminate D, I think that's, to everybody's point,
D.
waste of a paragraph. Moved.
So this is our stickler color.
Well, yeah, because we need to then reintroduce, though, that what we're submitting to the board, number 1. Right?
Yeah,
That needs to get moved. Doesn't that need to get introduced into this then? So
Yeah,
where we
right.
require landlords?
right, we can do that.
So eliminate D and add in number 1.
Okay.
I think that would be great. It would be okay with me if they had multiple colors, as long as there was not a need to
Yeah.
debate it here for a long time, or to tell people no, because they
Right.
like purple.
Right, it gives us some standing, which is good.
Yes, that's a nice way to phrase it. It gives us a
What?
little standing.
Some kind of color, approved color scheme. Which,
Surprised me.
And if the landlord, if the
it'll never
landlord
happen.
comes in and says any color is okay,
Well, no, the landlord has approved with us the color schemes for the building.
we have to agree to the
Yeah,
landlord's color.
it's in a,
scheme.
right.
All right.
Yeah, it's the landlord has to approve with
Yeah,
the,
on the front memo,
Yeah.
it's in writing.
Yeah.
obtain ABR approval for
And
consistent color scheme.
theoretically, the color scheme from the landlord could have 2 or 3 different colors, if we agree with it.
Yeah, that's the word scheme.
I probably will not be alive when
I know,
landlords
that's what I'm saying.
decide.
Will ever come to us.
Establish a color
I'm with you, but at least it's in there. We can say that that's not approved landlord.
Well, Mike, I wonder if, we've got this document and this one. I wonder if it's practical to ask you if you could take this and put it together in red line. Red line what's
Compile it all,
being
yeah.
deleted and red mark what's being added, because it's getting confusing looking at too many different documents.
Right. I could do that. Do you guys want to see this again at the
No,
August meeting?
We're done. I think we're good. I don't know. Maybe Neil wants to come over Sunday morning and look at it.
Yeah, move to adjourn,
Yeah.
move to adjourn.
The next time I see an awning on the agenda, I will send you an email, won't make it, can't make it, Mike. Is he watching my grass?
If you do a red line copy, I'll read it.
There you go.
Okay, I'll do one for you now.
Yeah.
I do have an additional question, though, on the back side of this page.
Oh, don't look at the backside of pages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Number C, 9C,
9C.
at the end of it, it says, sign shall not be permitted to extend above the facial line or coping line of the wall to which the sign is attached. And then it says, for 1 story, or located above the first floor elevation of the building. I'm not sure I even know what that means.
I know what they're trying to say, but they didn't really, I think it should have the word buildings in there for 1-story buildings, that you can't
Yeah.
extend above the facial line or coping line of the wall to which the sign is attached.
Well,
For
if you look-
1-story buildings or located above the first floor elevation.
If you look above on 8B, the last paragraph of that one, last part of that one, just simply says, but in no event shall said sign exceed the roof line.
Let's see.
I mean, it's just a
Right.
lot simpler way of saying the same thing, isn't it?
Well,
am I
what C,
interpreting it
no,
wrong?
what C has additionally is if you have a multi-story building, your wall sign can't be above the first floor downtown.
But the same,
Yeah.
So but 8B on projecting signs only says you can't go above the roof line. This 9C says you also can't have it on the 2nd or 3rd floor of a multi-story.
There ain't no 3rd floor downtown now.
no
We
3 by
tried.
3.
There's a 3rd floor on block 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
There's
there
no
is.
signage
Yeah,
at all
that's it.
above the first floor?
No. I don't
That's-
think so,
that's what
'cause
it
there isn't
says.
anything,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if I ever noticed that. It's nice.
well, they're down by the entrance to
Yep,
whatever's
right.
up there.
yeah,
Yep.
right.
What else we got?
I think that's it. So if I understand everyone correctly, we're essentially not doing our April 3rd recommendations, the first 4 on the top list. We're going
Right.
with tonight's and the February 7th stuff on the second list,
Makes sense.
right? That's what we decided?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you go to the village board meetings,
Yeah.
you know, it was probably a year ago, no, it wasn't a year ago, but it was more than 6 months ago when I presented the design things, and they said, well, I'll do this and this and this, and then nothing happened, so I'm done with it as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, the residential design guidelines?
And then it
Yeah.
came to you guys,
Yep.
and then I think it's floating around someplace else in outer space. I don't know what you guys said.
we had the same discussions that we had in front of the village, you know, the village board. It was kind of duplicated, the same reactions.
All right.
Yeah, so eventually we'll do something with that.
Yeah.
We got a lot of reports that are, yeah, this is like the government now. The feds, you know, that,
Yeah.
we got reports on the Waukegan corridor study, we got, I mean, it's just, it's starting to stack up, and I'm tired of doing it.
Mhm,
Some of it go back 2 or 3 boards.
Right, yeah.
So next time somebody asks us to do a study,
So you want to see those residential design guidelines go forward and get adopted?
I
soon,
would,
is
I
what
would
you're
like to
saying?
see something happen, and I don't know that we need to have public hearings and every other damn thing. Excuse me? It just, you know, maybe we do, but, you know, contractor's gonna come in and say, I can't make enough money, I don't really care. That's not the point.
Right, yeah.
And these are pretty loose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
At least they're allowed to use something other than wood.
Right.
So
Anything
good.
else?
I move we adjourn.
There you go. We have
I
a,
second.
all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Done.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay.
You know, is the ad hoc, I haven't heard anything from them.